Like I remember Tony D'Angelo's, he's a Chicago guy. His younger days when, he didn't know anything or had a first match and we had to go over a finish for him. Like what finish, try this finish and see if it works. He still uses that to this day. But, Bron Breaker, like Steiner, like the Steiner kids' first few, matches and all these people, Tiffany Stratton, like I worked with some of the younger ones when they first started, but I haven't crafted someone from the ground up, and I'm so excited to do that.
Before I wrap up with tell me about the school. Obviously, why the name Foundation of Wrestling? That's a specific thing about education that you have to have the foundation of the fundamental things.
Exactly.
I know you from AAW as well here in Chicago with Danny Davis, one of the best independents, and Dan would always ask, "What is the foundation of this person? What's the style they were taught, so I can adapt that to what we're doing?" Where do you approach that with a potential athlete who's going to become a pro wrestler?
Well, again, I'm coming with the Harley Race branding. I'm coming with Harley Race specific. It's branded on my logo. Harley Race taught me so many things that if you go back and watch his work, it's precision. There's a certain style he had, which we do have to ramp up a little bit nowadays. We don't get a chance to work 60 minutes or 30 minutes. Like those are few and far between. Some guys get to do it, but it takes a while. But what I'm teaching is a little bit of old school, certainly mixed with the newer school. I mean, you talk about Ring of Honor. I was at the infancy of Ring of Honor. I was there in the early days when, it's just a once every couple of months show to once a month show to it really started ramping up as the years went on. I worked for Pro Wrestling Noah at that same time, at the height of it. So a lot of innovative things are coming along. Foundation, exactly like you said, the fundamentals. I want to bring the fundamentals back. There's been a lot of things since I've been back in wrestling I noticed have been kind of lost because of trends, because of what everyone thinks wrestling is now. And as we spoke earlier, just say for the CM Punk stuff, or I've gone back to this a lot lately with that press conference that they did, the WrestleMania kickoff show. It
was best marketing thing I've seen in a long time.
Exactly. I put it on randomly just because Punker was on there. And holy cow, was I blown away by that finishing angle. Like all of it, the way it was shot was just like a UFC, like weigh in, like but fight, like fight day, real fight time. They're coming in at 353, see rolling in their back. Like,
yeah,
it was treated, the realism that was given to it. I've always felt that way about wrestling. The story we want to tell and the combat's got to look real. Like, think shoot, but it's a work. Like, I want to believe, we can suspend disbelief. Again, whatever analogy you want to put in, when you go watch a movie, you don't want to see the holes in everything or a missed punch or, like, you want to believe, at least in that forum, that that's happening to that person. We all know it's not, no one died, no one got their head snapped in half or a blade in between, But why give it?
I want to lose myself in it.
Yeah, suspend disbelief. We can do that. We're athletic, entertainers, sports entertainers, whatever you want to, I'm a professional wrestler. And I think it's always been the same. I was there in NXT when they said we can't say wrestling anymore. Then what am I teaching today? I got to teach you how to wrestle so you can be a sports entertainer, which that was the craziest thing to ever hear. But so we all look around. Mitt Finley, Terry Taylor, what the hell have I been doing my whole life? No, we have to suspend disbelief. We have to take you, we have to get you out of your seat and really invested in this match and not to realize, oh, they did this pretty move. Like, it's all got to look just like a competition. And that's what I want to bring to the school. That's what I want. And I'm excited, I can tell you this, to teach someone from the ground up. I have not taught a competitor from the ground up in a long time. At the PC, I had experienced individuals. Of course, I worked with more of the greener ones that have come in. Like, I remember Tony D'Angelo's, he's a Chicago guy. His younger days when, he didn't know anything or had a first match and we had to go over a finish for him. Like, what finish? Try this finish and see if it works. He still uses that to this day. But, Bron Breaker, like Steiner, like the Steiner kids' first few, matches and all these people, Tiffany Stratton, like, I worked with some of the younger ones when they first started, but I haven't crafted someone from the ground up, and I'm so excited to do that and instill in them these values I have, the things I've learned from Harley, the pacing, and mesh it with, a style that tweaks everything on, every dial on today's wrestling. just everything that everybody loves about today's wrestling, but I want to give you that much more.
Can I ask you a tough question to wrap up here? And it is about teaching wrestling. It's a tough question. As someone who's taught wrestling, and you've taught people at the highest levels and the highest teams, TNA, Ring of Honor, WWE, as you mentioned, who are the students for you that you've worked with that you say, this is the example, this is the standard of someone I've taught, and you go to a new student who could be joining you at Foundation and say, these are the people I taught, this is something I worked with them on, and these are the lessons I've taught that people have learned that I'm the most proud of?
Sure. Well, you've got two that work for WWE right now. I would never fully take credit for Adam Pearce.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
But his endorsement of me is exactly this, that Ace doesn't take credit for all the things he taught me. He never will, all the things I've learned from him. That's part of his endorsement that's on my website. Punk, that's obviously a perfect one. Like he gives in fact, in his, and this was not prepped, when he typed, I didn't even tell the name of the school. He talked about the foundational skills that I gave him in his endorsement of me. But current talent on TV, this is one of the great things to see. Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller was an independent wrestler, had a lot of different, film projects and things that he was involved in. Even, I think he played Ric Flair in the Young Rock show. But he was an independent wrestler in Australia, and he was in my class when he first came to the PC. He, in fact, has given me props unsolicited, which is what I always loved about my career. I always love the unsolicited compliment. Like, I don't go up asking for, what did I do right? I want to hear how to make my game better. Yes, exactly. Oh, pat me on the back, please. No, tell me how to correct this and make this better. He was a guy that listened to everything if I gave him something to do, because that's my job now, to be an armchair quarterback Monday morning, we should have done this, but to produce him in his early days, to help him craft his matches. The Creed brothers, they're working on it. They're getting there, but those guys are sponges. They're athletes, just beyond that you can imagine. Just
I don't feel they've scratched the ceiling with them at all yet. And there's so many matches. Like, I look at them and I get like, they're the next Usos. They're the next great WWE tag team.
Yeah, no, they're going to be. And Ivy Nile was with them. I worked with her quite a bit in her early days too, working on matches with her. There's a guy named Odyssey Jones you haven't seen yet. Man, I worked with a lot of these people. He's one of the guys I put the boots on in the PC to say, hey, I'm going to work with you a little bit to see what you got, where you're at now. Because you don't get better unless you work with someone that's better than you. And that's in any field that we are. I've talked with Lars Fredrickson on music. If he plays with people, it helps him up his game or find a different sound.
I do stand-up. I want to go with a headliner. I want to feature for the headliner. I want to work with the headliner.
Yes, and in props, I had no idea that you had.
It's okay. No, but it's the same psychology. It's the exact, that performance psychology of being an artist and a performer at the same time. You don't get better unless you work with people that are better than you. You just don't. You have to get the rub. I've used wrestling terms in comedy. Yeah. People are like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, you went out there and you got this pop, but here's where you got the heat. You got rounded out.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I mean, it's all applicable. Yeah, the terms are a little, might be a little different, but yeah, it's all applicable. I mean, that's why we all, the careers parallel each other so much. If it's any type of performance art, it certainly does. From, the early days of doing nothing. And like I said, I stumbled over there, but I didn't realize you did Roast Battle Chicago, which I follow on Instagram. I saw that on your profile. I went, holy shit, I laugh at that all the time. It's great stuff.
We have an open ticket for you when we're doing Zanies. Come through Chicago again. We'll take you.
Beautiful. I'll be there in June. I would love to see it.
Absolutely. We'll have you out. Hey, Ace, if they want to follow you, follow the school, where do they go? If someone's looking to get into wrestling, obviously Florida's a great place to do it. A lot of things going there. And the big door isn't going to open first. Other doors got to open for you. You got to start somewhere. You got to get your foundation. See, I set you up right. Where do they go? And how do they sign up?
On Instagram, I'm at Aces of Steel, and it's got every link in my on the links itself in Linktree. The Foundation Pro Wrestling, the Foundation of Pro Wrestling, foundationprowrestling.com. I always mess up the .com, but you'll find all the links at Aces of Steel. I'm on there. You'll find everything you need for everything I'm involved in. The workshops I got coming up. I've booked some workshops. Finding the building and getting everything set with the school, which will launch in April. It's around Mania time. What perfect time. But I'm doing some workshops coming up at Hybrid Wrestling down in San Antonio in March. going up to do Beyond Wrestling, doing a seminar up there. I call them workshops. The seminars are called workshops because I work. You just don't stand around and hear stories. I work with you. You're going to get something out of this, and you're going to sweat, and I'm going to run you quite a bit and help make you learn something just out of what I'm doing. And also Remarkable Wrestling up in the Northeast. I'll be doing workshops up there in the next few months. But the Foundation of Pro Wrestling, located not far from the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. We're ready to go. Contact me, find the webpage, find Aces of Steel, and let's get rocking and rolling. Let's give you. And also, I want to add this too. I'm sensitive to international students. I know a lot of people come from overseas, and even from Canada. I've already talked to some that want to come down, and they don't have an extended length of time. We can work with you on a rate and more personalized training that I can get in with you and help work on your craft. So if you're an existing pro wrestler or a brand new pro wrestler, I've got something all set up for you.
I love the passion for this. I absolutely love it, man. We'll put the links as well for this. If you're on the podcast or the video, you guys can follow those as well. Ace, thank you so much for the time, man. Really looking forward to what's going to be going on with the school, man.
Thanks a lot, Kevin. Appreciate it.